guys, welcome to Artist Spotlight. We're at the Microsoft Store Linux, and we have Caitlin Duffy, renowned scriptwriter, based out of LA. How you doing, Caitlin?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Tell us where are you from, and what sparked your interest in television and film?
Well, I'm from kind of all over the place.
Okay.
I've lived in Atlanta. Actually, that's where I moved here from. But I've lived in New York, Florida, Pennsylvania, like all over the place.
Wow.
But yeah, and it actually moving around is sort of what sparked my interest in working in film. Because being the new kid a lot, you don't have you go to a new place, you don't have a lot of friends,
Right.
so you kind of start watching movies and you start writing and things like that to get used to your new environment. So yeah, that's uh that's what started my interest actually.
Okay. Okay. So you study. I know you study film. Was your formal
Mhm.
education the key component on your career path, or was it more on-the-job training and building contacts and networking, relationships that got you actually to do it? Was it more in other words, was it more the training and formal training, or was it more just kind of you out there hustling, and trying to get in?
It was more being here and networking, as you said. That was definitely more helpful. However, studying film really gave me a leg up. So I knew a lot of like the jargon and stuff when I moved out here, and that really helped.
Hmm.
But that being said, you definitely learn way more being in being out there on set, working with people than you ever can learn in an academic environment.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
So what was your first industry jobs like? Was it frustrating, like paying your dues early on? Or did you like become frustrated, especially like in LA and your early career? I mean, was it any frustrating, or was it like nervousness?
It was, you know what? It was really frustrating because it was very hard. I moved out here knowing absolutely nobody. So I recommend if you do come out here, have some contacts already
Right.
established. It's
Right.
way easier to get a job. But yeah, I interned for two different film companies when I first came out here, unpaid. It was really stressful working 60, 70 hours a week for no money.
Wow.
uh, Doing all the typical things that you hear about in movies, like getting coffee, answering phones, like lots of ridiculous errands for very high powered people. That being said, it was a really good learning experience. It really is very humbling and like puts you in your place. And
Right.
I learned so much doing that.
Yeah. Learn how to make a great cup of coffee, right?
I can make the best coffee. Yeah.
Okay. So did you seek out a mentor early on, or were you just kind of solely dependent on your own skills and your own, just get out there and grind, kind of? Or did you kind of try to find someone to emulate or show you the ropes when you got to LA?
Well, it's funny because the idea of getting a mentor never even crossed my mind, really. I kind of just it wasn't until a few years out here that I sort of found someone I would sort of consider my mentor. But I was really kind of just like, I had tunnel vision and I was like, I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to do anything and everything I have to do. I wasn't necessarily looking for a specific person. But
Right.
yeah, I was just trying to absorb as much information as I could. But yeah, I mean, having a mentor is a huge help, absolutely. But I didn't actively seek one out. One sort of found me.
Okay. Oh, got you. Okay,
Yeah.
got you. And they wouldn't have found you had you not been self-resilient, resilient and going out there and getting on your own stuff, right? So that's how they found you. So it was kind of testament to your own, spirit, right? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to prove that to somebody that you're worth their time.
Exactly.
So, it's you got to kind of prove yourself before you should attach yourself to somebody, I would say.
Understood. Sounds good. Tell us about your writing and script positions you've had, and what does a normal day look like for that in your role?
Well, I've had a few different roles. I've been a writer's assistant for 5 years. So on two different shows, and I've also been a script coordinator. And most recently, I've been an executive assistant on in a writer's department,
Hmm.
and I wrote a script for an episode recently. So day to day, it's kind of you work about 9 to 10 hours a day. You sit in the writers' room with a big group of writers, and they pitch ideas around, and you take notes, and you know occasionally you do research. I do a lot of little weird, like, writing a little blurbs. Like if there's like something on the screen in the background, usually like me or somebody in my position would write that. Um, or yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a hard question to answer because
Gotcha.
it really varies from show to show. I know some people that have my same job titles on
Hmm.
different shows who don't do any of the same things that I do.
Wow. Okay.
So it's very tricky. It all depends on what the head of the show, the showrunner, wants that, like, the writer's assistant to do. So it can vary, but it's mostly dealing with the writers on a day-to-day basis and taking notes. That's the bulk of it.
Understood. Understood. So you're not. So I would say that you're probably not on set as much as in meetings and writing meetings and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, not being on set, no.
Okay.
Especially if you're working in the writers department, unless you've actually written that episode, you're not going to be on set usually.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, what's the biggest takeaway you've gained from working on like a huge network show like Scorpion or Chicago PD? What's the biggest thing that you would have never known coming into the business young like that and just starting?
Mhm.
What's your biggest takeaway or your biggest piece of knowledge you can take from those experiences?
You know what? It's that every place is really different. My big takeaway was that there was no like straight consistency between each show and each job.
Mm.
Kind of, so if you work on one show and maybe you're not having the best time, if you go to another show, it's a completely different environment. I mean, it's really all about the people you work with. That's kind of what I've learned, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, as a newcomer, what kind of nuances or etiquette would you give out to say if you're not used to a high platform film or TV show like that? Should you come in knowing to kind of, okay, don't do this? Would you say that some people, not just their first job, wouldn't know?
I think it's just, I think some people come in way too, uh, almost sort with the feeling that they sort of, I want to be a writer, therefore you need to give me a script, like right off the bat. There's a lot of kids that I see that are like, 22 and they're like, I know better than everyone here. Like, don't do that. Like,
Right.
you should learn. Learning is key. So absorb as much as you can. You don't know everything when you first move. I mean, I sure thought I knew everything when I moved here. And, it's one of those situations where the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Don't know. Right.
So yeah, so don't necessarily come in too hot. But you also at the same time you want to prove that you're ready, you're willing, you're able, and you're eager to learn and you're eager to work.
Gotcha.
Um, so yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. I understand. Right. Because you don't know what you don't know. Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. How does technology help you in your day-to-day job? Like with an aspiring scriptwriter or script supervisor, can they use like a Microsoft Surface or Surface Book in any way to help them in their daily jobs?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It's so especially if you want to be a writer, and I'm only just saying that because that's my sort of wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
um it's amazing how when you come up with an idea, you need to write it down immediately, because otherwise it flies out of your brain really quickly.
Gotcha.
So having like a tool like a Surface Pro to actually like jot things down on the go in the moment is key. And also, I recently filmed an episode of Scorpion that I wrote, and I needed to do a lot of on-set research. Somebody would come up and say, how do you pronounce that word? Or like, what is this actually the real science? And I was able to pull something out and look it up online, and immediately it was a really big help.
Fact checking on set.
Exactly. Yeah, it's huge. Having something like that is really would be really ideal.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, wonderful. Now, if you were starting over now, let's say even here in Atlanta, what first step would you take? Your first step, haven't been to a class, you don't know anybody, you're clueless, you're coming in, really green. What was the first step you would take to get yourself just to that next level? Not maybe it's just your first job, but just the next level to get yourself on the right path.
I would just honestly reaching out to people, networking, offering to buy coffee for people that
Mm-hmm.
you find online, or just picking people's brains. That's the good. Like, just getting to know people is the first big step, because no one's going to hire you if they have no idea who you are.
Right.
So network, and don't be afraid to take a job that doesn't necessarily vibe with what you want to do. But if I mean, I got hired as an intern for Ben Simmons when I first moved out here, and my only experience was working as like a barista or doing I
Right.
actually worked at Phipps Plaza.
Oh wow.
uh, yeah, so that was my last job, was working at Phipps Plaza before I moved out here.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
but I built up a resume, and it just proved that I wasn't afraid to work and do some jobs that are, less than ideal. So just, work hard, build up a resume, and network. That's
Okay.
my advice.
Okay. What would you say were some of the challenges you ran into, either currently or before, that you can say that and how did you overcome them? Either technical, as far as what you're actually doing your job, or non-technical, political, and how did you overcome them? Can you think of any?
Yeah, as I said, moving out here without any contacts is really challenging.
Mm.
Or, I mean, the truth is a lot of people get jobs in this business because of friends and family connections, and that's a really hard thing to swallow, especially when you've been working someplace for years
Right.
and busting tail, and
Right.
then all of a sudden, like, someone's nephew comes in, and you're like, okay, like,
Right. Right.
I don't know shit. So, but if you have to find the right people. There are definitely people out here who are going to respect hard work, and, you know, yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's a hard question to answer, frankly. There's a lot of little things. You can't, you know what? You can't get discouraged easily. I guess that would be my big point of advice for
Okay.
that. And
Okay.
it's very easy to get, because jobs come and go out here. That's one thing, is,
Mm.
you'll be on a show, and then it gets canceled, and then you're unemployed. And it happens to everyone, producers to the bottom of the barrel. Everyone goes through these waves of employment. So just, you can't get discouraged. You have to keep pushing forward.
Mm.
So
Got you.
that's
That's a good advice. That's great advice. And I wanted to ask, for someone, um, even in your position, not because we don't know what your goals are, but what is a career path? What should your long-term goals be if someone is a script supervisor or a script writer? Should you set your long-term goals, like 3-year, 5-year goals, to be, in other words, a line producer, script supervisor? Like, what was like a good path that you should kind of? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, those are different. Are you asking, like,
I
if
guess
you
in the order of kind of
want?
promotion, if you're talking about, you see somebody that's going into the script writing field, would it be a script supervisor, then like another executive producer kind of a thing? Would that be like a natural progression over the years if you have your sights set in that arena?
Um, it's hard to say, because some people will get to a level that
Hmm.
you might consider, like, a script supervisor, for example, is actually sort of an end game.
Oh, that's what I
That's
meant. Yeah, right, right.
Yeah. So, like,
Okay.
to get to that level, I mean, you know what? There's no really one set path, honestly, because
Hmm.
there's some people I know that have started as working as production assistants, and then gradually worked their way up to, a writer's assistant, and
Right.
then to be a script coordinator, and then a writer, and then a producer. But then I know some people that, change career paths in their
Hmm.
mid 30s. They want to be a writer. They move to LA, and they're staffed immediately.
Wow. Okay.
So
Got
it really it there's no one path. I don't know two people that have the exact same route to get to where they wanted to get. So yeah, I mean, the natural progression is, if you wanted to be a writing producer, is try to get in a writer's room as a writer's PA,
you. Hmm.
and you're going to be getting coffee, and you're going to be answering phones, but you'll work your way up to writer's assistant and be taking notes in the room. And
Got
then sometimes you get staffed off of that. Sometimes you go to script coordinator, where you're doing research and proofreading. And yeah, but that's being said, you don't have to take that path if you don't want to. That's just one way to do it.
Got you. Got you. Okay.
Mhm.
That is great. That is great. That's what I was trying to get to. Like, what's that end game? So that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
finally, what do we have looking forward from Clayton and Duffy? What's up and coming for you, and what are you working on, or that you can tell us about, actually?
Uh, I don't know. It's I'm kind of just I'm actually about to go on a hiatus. Our show's going on our summer break,
Okay.
so I'm going to be and yeah, that's kind of the standard protocol. But
Okay.
yeah, so I don't know. So I wrote the last thing I've done was writing an episode of Scorpion, and it aired last month, but it should
Okay.
be rerunning in the summer. So keep an eye out for that.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's about
Okay,
it.
nice, nice. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all your knowledge and experience with our audiences. There's so many people that that will look up to you, and even they can hear what your stories was and your journey. It'll help them out a lot. So we really appreciate you sharing your time with us. Okay, we're good. Thank you, Caitlin. That was it.
Yeah.